Welcome to My Toy Life. This is episode number 15. Wow, I can't believe we're already on 15. Well, like I always say, please like, share, and comment. We like comments. We enjoy comments. We enjoy questions. So, whatever questions you have, please direct them to the chat. And let's have a good time, a good show. So we're going to bring in our guest host, Rick. Good evening, buddy.
Hey, Terry. How you doing?
Doing great. Had a great day. As I said earlier, my bad hair day is on my face. So,
Yes.
But
you don't want to know what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I know. But you look good, man. You really do. You look good.
Well, thank you. It's video, so you don't want to see me in person.
You're cool. But you said you brought something to show tonight, to show and tell.
I have a couple things to show if you want to.
Yeah, go
real
ahead.
Quick before we go to our guest.
Go
I'll
right
show
ahead.
you very, very quickly. Okay. So this is
Wolfman.
A Wolfman, yes. And this was a Blanca. Do you know Blanca?
Yeah.
From the Street Fighters.
Yeah.
Or whatever that. Again, they had those horrible Hall of Fame bodies.
Sure.
And this was done by Todd Zingales again.
Todd
And
is great.
he cut off, we cut off the head with the crazy hair.
Right.
And he created a scalp and he flocked the whole thing and painted it. And then I put it on a World Peacekeeper's body. And
amazing.
The outfit is from Barbie, Mary Poppins. This is the street sweeper or whatever he was.
Chimney sweep.
Yeah. And so it kind of has a Werewolf of London kind of thing going on.
Well, it looks cool, man. That's cool.
Todd did a good job.
Todd does some good work. I'm going to have him on the show.
If you can contact him, please let me know because he doesn't talk to me. And this is, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
That's the Cotswold reproduction Palatoy spacesuit.
Yeah, that's the one they made that's like plastic.
It's all rubber.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got to insert the guy through the neck. It's really
so
wild.
You have to stretch it?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
But what I did was, and this is a tip, if anyone buys these, they're still available, I think. And these guys already probably know. But I put boots on my Joe. There's boots in here.
Okay.
So his feet are puffed out. If you don't do that, the feet just collapse.
Right.
And I've got, again, World Peacekeeper hands on them. The flocking this is a 40th anniversary Joe. And the flocking, again, is done by Todd. This is a harness from a rapid rappel guy, I think. Mm-hmm. And I put a...
Oh, neat.
It just fit in there. Anyways. And the helmet is, again, World Peacekeepers.
World Peacekeepers, yes.
Mm-hmm. But just a neat thing. I have a red one of these that I haven't done yet. And I'm going to try to do them up and have a team. But cool. This is if you can get one of these from Cotswold, they're well worth it. They're great. It has a really 50s kind of look to it. And nice piece.
I think it's kind of interesting that's made out of rubber, and we got the rubber king on here tonight, so let's bring him on.
Yeah, exactly.
Tearle Ashby, the wetsuit guy.
Wetsuit man. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
How are you?
Actually, the guy who makes those suits is in the UK. And
Yes.
when I first started making wetsuits, he contacted me and we were kind of exchanging stories back and forth. He had the molds that he got from Palatoy somehow, and they're metal molds. So he was making those. I haven't gotten one of those yet, but add that to the list of the many things I haven't gotten yet.
Do you think the rubber he's using is good quality?
I think it is. I mean, it's a different kind of rubber than I use for the wetsuits.
Right.
The wetsuit thing was an incredible journey. A good friend of mine, Michael Hers, that did the 94 convention on the Intrepid. He did 95 in Chicago, 96 on the Space Coast. And he did the 97 in Philly. There were 2 97 conventions, one in San Francisco, and Brian Savage took over, started doing the club and started doing the conventions himself. Not by himself, but he was leading up the conventions. There were 2 shows that year, my buddy Mike's and the one in San Francisco for the club. So I ended up, when he ended up kind of switching gears in his professional life, he, called me. I was, at the time, I was a therapist in private practice, and I would get these phone calls at work. And he was like a crack dealer. He's like, "You want to buy some stuff?" It was all Joe stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do. What do you got?" Yeah. So I bought his collection, which had some really cool things. I'll try and make my way over to a couple of them, but so he did reproductions of the vinyl footlockers. He did a talking astronaut, which had like an external talking mechanism, and then he did an adventure locker and an aqua locker. And so for the aqua locker, he decided he was going to do a wetsuit. So he purchased the molds, a set of original molds from someone that had found them, and made kind of reverse molds from them. So he made, I think I ended up buying like 8, 9 sets from him. And then I have a guy that does mold stuff for me because I haven't really figured that out yet. But he made molds for each of the 3 pieces, so I can cast more forms out of resin, and then use like an auto paint primer, which is not cheap. I have to redo them every year because you start to get marks in them. But learning how to do the wetsuits was like something else, when he made his, he had dipped them, and he used kind of a combination of like latex rubber and enamel, like latex paint and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I tried dipping them, and then you get like different kinds of bubbles. There's like air bubbles, which are pretty easy to deal with. I mean, you can, puff them with air and they can go away. But then there's fisheye bubbles, which leave permanent like acne scars in the latex. And I still get like a few of those when I do them. I do my own quality control. If I think they're displayable, and I sell them. If I don't, I have a pile of factory rejects,
Do you make those available? The rejects?
Yeah, there's a guy from your neck of the woods, a guy named Brad Pacheco, who he bought a ton of them. So I didn't have a whole lot. I had a lot of yellow tops that were like rejects. But I learned about, I have clothing that's like covered in latex. At one point, like my gray beard was like black with latex. I tried all kinds of things, and I finally figured out a way to do it. And, I mean, originally I was just going to do, make some just to replace some of my rotted, wetsuits, but, I don't think I've made any for myself yet. I probably sold about 900 three-piece suits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And amazingly, like, I still get messages like, people, it's great. It's all word of mouth. I don't sell on eBay for various reasons. And, the marketplace is kind of hot and cold for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, even selling on Facebook, just on the Joe pages is kind of tough. But fun would be a nice way to put it, Murray. But there's still people that have no idea. Like people will ask, like, "Hey, do you know where I can get? Does anyone make repro wetsuits?" And the guys that I sell to, I always, ask, if you can, when you get your suit and you like it, put it on a Joe and post it and tag me if you can, because that's how I
Exactly.
So I have to say, Randy Hamrick is like the best PR guy.
Yeah. He's good. Yeah, he's good.
But he'll post it and I'll get a message and, there's new folks. And I think, there's a lot, I'm surprised at the number of new collectors, that are coming out of the woodwork, which is great.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing, my only thing is that, I mean, I was very lucky. I started collecting in the early 90s. And I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I had as a kid, but I didn't know about, which eras were the rarest and all of this, high-end stuff that became high-end stuff. And I was blessed, because I'd ask probably dumb questions and people were very benevolent and kind. And there's a lot of the opposite of that happens. And I think that's really disheartening, and I hope that changes. And, I mean, there's a lot of people that are really, I mean, truly Joe experts, who are like, know the minutia down to, very fine points about this boot versus that boot, this set versus that set. It's pretty amazing. I'm not a completist in that respect. I mean, I have, I probably have close to 10,000 12-inch figures. Yeah.
Look, you just answered this guy's question before he asked you.
There's hospitals for that. They have special programs. But I'm only able to display. I used to do displays. I do vet shows. I have had several displays in the New York State Military Museum. So that's really fun because I can do dioramas and stuff. And like I'll see stuff that I've posted from those displays, like, they're, photos on Joe pages. Like there's one with the medic tent, with the Jeeps coming in, with the litters on them, and you see the nurse and all this stuff. That's from one of my displays. The Iwo Jima I've seen, but I have a 1/6 scale, the Big Red Toy Boxer, Alt Joe, and I was on all of those actually. And the trenches, but I never got the Doughboy until a couple of years ago, and I didn't get the coat, the trenches coat, until about a year ago from someone who's nice enough to sell it to me. But yeah, it's great. I have a 1/6 scale M1A1 Abrams tank that a guy in California made. I finally connected with him because I saw a picture he had posted, and I said, I think I have that tank. And we were messaging back and forth, and it took him 8 years to build it. And I said to him, I go, listen, don't take this the wrong way, but you probably weren't in a relationship during that time, right? And he's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I went from one, through one at that time. Yeah. Thanks, Murray. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, that was my go-to toy, greatest toy ever made, G.I. Joe. If you had the Masterpiece Edition, I'm one of the kids in the book.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting for the royalties for that.
When did you get your first Joe?
You did the book? Is that what you're saying? You did the book for the masterpiece?
I'm in the book. A picture of me.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go look at my book. I knew I was meeting a superstar tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool because I went to the Crystal City DeSimone convention and Don Levine was there, and he had a mock-up of the book and he was showing the photos because he had announced it at the Chicago convention in '95 and showed us like a prototype of the the timeless guy or the masterpiece guy. I went down and he had my picture there. I'm like, oh man, but there was only like 8 pictures total on the 2 pages, so it was really big. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And then when it came out, there was a lot more pictures. But I've met a few guys that are in it, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So how old were you in that picture?
I was probably 5.
And what was the year?
It was 1969. It's probably somewhere in the 67, 68, 69.
Yeah, so you were right in the shit.
My dad worked for Boeing Aircraft, so we lived all over the country. In fact, I think I'm going to go to Alaska in the summer, and that'll be my 50th state. So I went to Hawaii last Christmas. That was my 49th. But I always, since my dad worked for Boeing, he worked on the space program part of Boeing. So he worked in a group that designed the 747, 737, DC-9, DC-10, the C-130, the big helicopter with the two tops. And then he worked on the Saturn V rocket, and he worked on, we moved to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and he worked on Apollo 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, wow.
So
did you ever meet somebody named Brandt? Lee Brandt?
Lee Brandt. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, he worked on that too. Yeah. I knew his son.
Yeah, my dad's group designed the lander.
Okay.
Back when my dad passed away, I found this binder and it had all kinds of stuff in it. Probably stuff that he probably wasn't supposed to take home. But I have 4 bolts from the first prototype lunar lander, and I have some piston rings from the Saturn V section that he worked on, and all kinds of letters from he had a letter from Kennedy and Johnson and Nixon, and the head of NASA, who was the head guy at the time that they did Apollo 11. But I got to see Apollo 11 go off literally from my backyard. I got to go to the parade, met the astronauts. I ended up running into Buzz Aldrin again in '99.
What about a Judson? What was his name? DeLoach?
LaRoche.
Yeah.
I don't know him. I mean, I was a little kid, so I don't really.
Well,
I remember G.I. Joe from that time and seeing the actual, but it was pretty cool. Buzz Aldrin was much nicer the first time I met him when I was a kid than the second time I met him at the convention. I'll leave that story for another time.
Wasn't very nice.
No. So everybody was in line in DC. It was the '99 convention. They put out the Buzz Aldrin figures, 35th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we were standing in line, and Brian was standing behind him. And so I go up and I have him sign my Joe. And then I had a blank index card, and I said, "Could you sign this for my dad? He worked on the Apollo 11 mission." So he leans forward and he goes, a lot of people worked on the Apollo 11 mission.
Yeah.
So I just kind of I said, oh, really? And I just sat back and I'm waiting for him because, I had something that I was going to say, but, I was waiting for him to sign my card. So he hands me the card and I'm looking at Brian, and Brian's looking at me and he's like, please don't say anything. My buddy, who I met, one of my closest friends I met in line at the '94 Intrepid show in the Toys R Us line. And we've been best friends ever since. But so he's next to me and he's egging me on, going, You gonna let him talk to you like that, dude? So I kind of lean forward after I get it, and I'm like, say, Buzz, weren't you the second guy to walk on the moon? And his face like turned beet red, and I just left. And then probably 6 months later, I'm at Disney World, and he's doing a book signing at the bookstore in like downtown Disney, and he gets into a fist fight with one of the conspiracy people that
Yeah, that's when he punched that guy. Yeah.
He does all the time. Every time he goes to one, he gets in a fight.
Yeah.
He's a tough old man. But
yeah. Well, to go to the moon, he had to be.
Yeah.
He had to be tough.
I'm sure he's run into enough nuts to be a little grouchy. So, but
well, you were going to you said something about showing us some figures were made in Japan. Is that what it was?
I got a bunch of cool oddball stuff to show you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know if you've seen these. These are the Kubrick figures from
Nope.
Japan. I got to move backwards. This is weird.
No, I haven't seen them.
These are like Lego figures, except they're called Kubricks. So it's got soldier, sailor, pilot, marine, and there's actually like a African American soldier version, which you can't really tell unless they're called blind boxes. You got to open the box to find out. So that's that. This is another interesting thing. There is so much stuff that they make in Japan that we have no idea about. Like this is a Zippo.
Huh.
And it's
there you go.
ammo box. And it's that limited to like 1,000 pieces. And it was 12,000 yen was the original price.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that's like $4 American. Oh. No, it's more than that. But let's see. What else do I have here? So I collect 1964 to 74 vintage stuff. I had to draw this like imaginary line, which probably isn't worth a squat in the larger picture because I'll probably end up buying the other stuff at some point. But from 64 to 74, I'm missing the Mountie gift set, which I may not ever purchase because the first aid pouch, the brown first aid pouch, is going for about $500. And unless I pick the right 6 numbers in the lotto, I don't think I'll be buying the $500 brown first aid pouch. But
you never know. Someone might have it.
Yeah.
That just says, "Hey, here you go."
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
I saw you on Terry's show, and I know you needed this, so I just decided to send it to you.
Yeah.
I have the brown boots. I have the Mountie, but it's the Mountie that would have been in the window box, the black boots. But
there's a guy over in Europe that's making reproduction brown boots because I posted my Mountie and he said, "Hey, those are the wrong boots. You want some right ones?"
Yeah. Well, there was a Mountie with black boots too. The first issue, the window box. So what I've been collecting lately is not all of them had that. Well, that's good news. So maybe I'll have one. I make the reproduction Sears boxes.
Okay.
I did an edition of like 25 pieces of each. So I do the Mountie gift set, and I do the Forward Observer, the Green Beret, and the Machine Gun Outpost. And the graphics are from Mr. Dave Howard, who is amazing. They're screen printed on the sides of the boxes, just like the originals. So they're really good reproductions. So I just recently did those over the summer. So those came out good. But I've been collecting. When I first started collecting in the early 90s, there were customizers coming out of the woodwork, like amazing stuff, like Tripwire Toys, Paul Ivy, who unfortunately he's not with us anymore.
Yep.
Mark Cole, who is amazing. And I don't have any Mark Cole stuff to show you because I was going through my bins, and I gotta put some more effort into picking out what I want to show you. Mark Cole's everything Mark Cole does is fantastic, and he's one of the reasons that I go to Kentuckiana is just to kind of hang out and chat with Mark. He is like a really cool dude and very talented. Like he makes some John Lennon glasses, and they're ridged around the side so that the frame fits the lenses just like real glasses. Like that's his detail is amazing. But there was, Major Midnight, Tripwire Toys, Mark Cole, Jim Marinetti, Aces. But the problem was, this stuff was coming out, and I was just starting to collect it. It's like, well, gee, do I buy the $200 custom uniform, which looks amazing, or do I buy the Ski Patrol figure? So it was like, gotta go with the Ski Patrol figure. I didn't pay $200 for my Ski Patrol figure, but so I got some stuff. Major Midnight did some really cool German stuff before Dragon ever came out. So this is like a Major Midnight carded uniform. So let me go this way. Okay, there's one there.
Lean the top back towards you, and sometimes that lean it. Yeah, now put it back in. There you go. Now you can see it. Great. Major Midnight.
The opposite direction. That's fine.
Yeah, the opposite direction.
So that's one here. And then here's another one that he did.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then like tank commanders are.
He made the tanks too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what they retailed for back then, but so here is the Jim Marinetti did the Memphis Belle for the club.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. And then this is a different version. This one, the club one had headphones. This is a different version, which he made very few of.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think my son bought one at Toylanta last year.
Yeah.
Because he had been looking for it for a while, and it was in one of the vendors, and he said, I got to get that. So he picked it up.
Well, Jim Marinetti also did this one, the Command Decisions figure, Clark Gable.
Awesome.
So there's two versions of this. This is we did an edition size. This has that cap, the cloth cap. Come on, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's
that's just amazing, brother.
And then this is one of the prototypes where he has the put his hat on here. He has one of the Garrison caps. Come on now, get in there.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's
nice
cool.
work.
He's got great stuff. I'm still trying to find some of his stuff.
How many did he make each?
It was an edition size of there's 10 prototypes and 100. He made 100.
100 figures. Okay.
Yeah, which is quite an undertaking.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Especially
even
back then.
Even at Joe Atlanta, if you get the Joe Atlanta figure, you're not guaranteed that all the figures are going to be the same.
Yeah.
The uniform might be the same, but figures are going to be all different.
So in around 94, 95-ish, the San Jose show did some premiums, and they did a reproduction tan Airborne.
Okay.
So the helmet is exact, the uniform is exact, the armband, and then they did the teal, which I have on a figure. That took some trading with someone. And then they did a reproduction breeches buoy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So these are kind of hard to find.
And all those people no longer do anything, right?
No, a lot of them stopped. I mean, the Polo Moreno did Ape Joe. He did a lot of custom Planet of the Apes figures. But he did like amazing like military stuff. He did a bunch of B-17 gunners. and things like that. That stuff's kind of hard to find. Eva Thompson, wonderful lady, just passed away within the last year or two. I had a chance to talk to her, and she did some of the beginning shows, the reunions they called them, and then there was another lady that did luncheons. But I got one of her figures, one of the rarer figures. Mark Cole is still kicking, man, making great stuff. Last time I saw him, I bought a straight jacket that he made. I thought that was so cool.
That was back in the, I mean, I was only just coming into it back then.
Yeah.
But that's really like a heyday for those customizers.
So
really is.
This is the first uniform James D. Simone did. It's come on, man. There you go. It's a Marine drill instructor.
A Marine drill instructor. Wow.
And it's made from a Marine drill instructor's uniform, which is really cool.
Of course.
It's got sword. I mean, the patches are raised. It's got it's a senior DI. It's got a flocked hat. It's really cool. I'm not sure how many they made, but
that's just amazing right there.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So Neil LaSala, who you see, there's Carol Caracciolo, Neil LaSala. They kind of have together. They have one of the coolest collections. I don't know if it's a combined collection or what, but they have amazing stuff. And then there was the Joe Lina guys, Greg Sherb, and oh man, what? His name is escaping me. Don Coffey, and Greg Sherb.
Yeah, Don can do some.
Don's a rock star now, so he doesn't do show stuff much anymore.
Did you get Don's gold astronaut?
Yes. I was there.
I wish I'd have got that one too, man. That was amazing.
I had two of them. I sold one.
Oh my.
Yeah, I know. So this is the park.
And there's my grail right there. That's my grail right there. That's what I'm looking for.
It's a park ranger.
If anybody has a park ranger and you want to part with it, let me know.
The 45 is metal.
I know.
Silver.
So is that badge.
Yeah. Do I have a Mountie box to show you? I don't right now, but Murray, if you PM me, I'll send you some photos.
If you send him a photo, send me one, and I will post it tonight on the Toys Mine Facebook page, if that's okay with you.
All right, we'll do. So Jace Marshall.
Yes, Jace. He does some good stuff. I've got Jace.
This is one of the Brits.
One of the Brits.
Oswald. Yeah. I'm trying to get a hold of him again, which is kind of difficult. You see, he's a busy man. So this is one of the Brits. This is Oswald. Comes with a tea set. Sick.
I'm gonna step away for a second.
Okay.
I did some buying from Jace. He really was something else.
Yeah.
But then he's like you said, he's like nowhere. But
he pops up, I keep bugging him, and he pops up now and again, and he'll respond. So I mean, one of these days I'm going to catch him at the right time, because I have two of the prototype Brits, and then they did a Christmas one, and he's wearing pajamas and stuff. And, it's just kind of.
I was lucky. I got one of his. He did some Steve McQueen heads.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to grab one of them.
That's McTaggart. So I have two McTaggarts. I have an extra McTaggart if somebody's looking for one. I have one in the box that they did, and then
this one was made before they made the Brits,
Yeah.
him and another guy were working together, and they were going to produce these figures.
The McTaggart.
And the guy that he was working with died.
Yes.
He died. And
Yeah.
so I got one of the prototypes because it did.
A few of them. The McTaggart. I have 2 of them. I have one without a box, and then I have one with the box.
Yeah, they are cool.
They're very cool. So one of the early DFW figures was the astronaut they did.
Awesome.
And then it was, so they had found the original prototype for the astronaut. And so they kind of recreated that with like this cloth helmet, the metallic suit.
That's just amazing. That's just amazing, brother.
I got a lot, I had to do some picking to figure out which ones I was gonna.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Right. So there was another customizer. His name was Saru Inuya from Japan, and he did primarily Japanese figures. Surprise, surprise. And he would put them in a window box, and this is one of his.
Oh, look at that!
Pilot.
Oh yeah.
That's
Zero pilot.
Yeah.
Zero pilot.
Yeah.
Nice.
He made the boxes, and he signed this one. Actually, I think this one is signed by World War II Zero pilot, not him. I have another one that's signed by him. But he did a bunch of stuff. I mean, the craftsmanship is really cool. Everything's handmade. He worked with Cotswold and did Japanese Ground Defense Force. There were 3 different figures. I just got the 2 that he did, the first 2 he did, and then I have a prototype of one of them with a resin cast head. And I got another one here. This is a Japanese Army officer that he did. Killer stuff. I need to buy a building. I need a building.
Yeah.
So there was a company in Japan called Paradox International, and they did 2 figures, and they're called Vicky Angel. So, she's a World War II Wasp.
Amazing.
And there's this way. That's one, and then there's another one. Another World War II Wasp, Vicky.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen many of these.
So
Eva Thompson did some amazing stuff. She did Revolutionary Guy. She did a Union soldier, a Confederate soldier, which I don't have. She did a World War II pilot, which I don't have. Those are the last 2 I need of hers. She did a World War I pilot. I mean, handmade leather boots, handmade leather jacket. She did, what else did she do? She did a World War I doughboy, a whole bunch. I mean, if on DeSimone's book, it's one of the small 3 3/4 inch identification guides. On the back of one of them, it might be the blue one. He has that last whole page is mostly her stuff. So you can see a lot of that. But when the last one she did from 95 was a modern helicopter pilot.
And
she kind of, these are guys. She also did a race car driver for the 88 Dallas show. And she got, because back then you could get bagged race car driver uniforms for dirt cheap. And she embroidered on the back Dallas 88. So that's pretty cool. Modern pilot. Really, really cool. Here we go. It's all handmade. The cloth on the helmet.
Amazing.
Helmet
that is. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Let me see what else I have. So you've probably seen Wayne Foucher's stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wayne Foucher is like, he's not of this earth.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
And the cool thing, I mean, I met Wayne quite a few times. He comes to when they were doing the Hershey show, which rumor has it, per Greg Brown, that the Hershey show may be reincarnated. Actually, I'm in the presence of a pastor, so resurrected would be a better term, I think. But they're thinking about bringing back the show, which would be great. It's a great show. It's good for me because it's only like 5.5 hours away, and I can drive my truck, fill it with stuff, which I can't really do when I do Jolanta, I do Kentuckiana, the summer one. I'd love to do Winterfest, but I live in upstate New York. Flying in the winter, it's not going, it's getting home. And it's tough sometimes. So at a point. Oh, so Wayne did these Adventure Team figures. Like they reimagined the Adventure Team, and I was lucky enough. There was like 3 originals that he did, and I got 2 of them. He makes 2, one for him and one to sell. And I've tried, believe me, I've tried. I'm like, Wayne, I have 2 out of the 3. Can you just make the 3rd one for me? He made a vehicle. He took a troubleshooter and modified it and put like a Gatling gun on the front. It's very cool. He did the box, stenciling on the box, the artwork and everything. So this is one of his Adventure Team guys.
Oh yeah.
And this is the
box.
So I have 2 of these.
And that's what's his name? Golly, can't think of who he is.
Wayne Foucher.
Yeah. He's the one that he did the Bobby. He did the Bobby.
No, that's Jeremy Milford. He's the Pawtucket platoon. He did the Bobby.
Oh yes, okay. I'm getting them mixed up.
I know he did like a certificate of authenticity and everything with this, and they come with a ton of gear too. So
Wayne's on our group, and he'll post once in a while.
Wayne's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
Wayne's stuff is amazing.
If it isn't cool enough that he's like an inker for Marvel Comics, like if that wasn't cool enough,
and an amazing photographer. He produces some images that are out of this world.
Well, a company just asked him to do images of a figure they were putting out. Like they hired him to do the photography, like the giant stuff he does is like sick. And the thing about Wayne is, if you message him or talk to him, he'll tell you exactly how he did it.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. Yeah,
he's done custom like Jimi Hendrix, John Lennon. I mean, it's just sick.
Yeah, John Wayne.
Yeah,
Humphrey Bogart. He does it all.
So, around like 94, 95 in Japan, I don't know what they came out with these sets called father and son sets. So the first one, and they were put out by Hasbro Japan. The first one, it's an interesting combination of 2 packs. The first one is a Vietnam era pilot, and the son is a baseball player. So he's wearing a baseball uniform with the bat, the ball, and everything. Then they did another one that has a Japanese soldier, and Toys McCoy, who did, they did a really killer Indiana Jones. They did some Steve McQueen. They did the first Steve McQueen Great Escape figure.
Yep.
You had to buy the jacket separately. It was like ridiculous money. The Indiana Jones, when it came out, like the figure was like, in the secondary market for like $1,000. And then there was an Arabian horse, which was like a Marx horse with wheels on the bottom. It was like $1,000 for the horse. I'm like, I ended up getting the Indiana Jones and the horse pretty cheap. But Toys McCoy did the Japanese uniform, and it's got a remake of the elusive G.I. Joe combat construction brown handled shovel and pick. So it's a repro of that. And it's pretty cool. So the son is also a baseball player. And then they did a third one with 2 like MMA fighters, which was kind of strange. But then they did these, they call them Sports Joes. There's 3 of them. And I don't know where they retailed at, but it's got the 30th anniversary body, but it's like he's wearing, this is the Sports Joe, and it says NCAA on it. That's one of them.
And what company was that?
This is Hasbro Japan.
Hasbro Japan. Okay.
Which they also go by Tomy, which is interesting.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, Hasbro, who just announced they're laying off like 1,500 employees.
Yeah.
And
Tearle, this show is outstanding. I can't say how blown away I am by all this. But we're running out of time, and we may have to come back for part 2 next week. What do you think?
All right, let me show you my last guy. This is probably one of the coolest.
Okay.
So there's a department store in Japan called Beams. Okay. And when they opened the Shinjuku. Brand,
Okay.
Shinjuku Beams. They did a G.I. Joe. And they made 50 of them. And I had 2 of them. I sold one.
You sold one already.
I don't need 2.
Well, I'm gonna have to find out what you have any seconds of and maybe buy something from you.
I have second. I got a lot of seconds, thirds. All right, so they did this Joe, and this guy is just sick. So it comes in this box, a wooden box, Beams.
Amazing.
Okay, but so the Joe itself, it's got a Beams shopping bag, and then the Joe itself is really cool. So it's like a civilian Joe. This is number 11 of 50. So the civilian Joe
amazing.
Yeah, what's amazing is you can see on his hair the texture of his hair. So the different companies made different pieces. So a clothing company made the chambray shirt, company made the pants, and Birkenstock made the Birkenstocks. Someone else made the backpack. So I've seen a few of these. But
Murray says to buy one of your seconds, I'd have to have a second mortgage on my house. So
yeah, I had the Joe, the second one of these Beams guys in Kentucky, and people were looking at it. They're like, man, that is like the coolest sound. Like when you see it up close, it's just like crazy. They make like different stuff in Japan. Like they have different licenses for the Hasbro Japan. Sure. I don't know if they're like syncing like the Hasbro US, but
Well, Tearle, I'm serious. You need to come back. I don't know if you'll be available next week, but we need to do a part 2. If it's not next week, at least someday in the future, because this is outstanding. You're taking people down memory lane, and you're making history for some of these guys who've never seen or heard of this stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks.
I'll tell you, I got one last thing. Here is the.
All right. One last thing, and then we're going to hit the road, Jack.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Ooh, right there.
Right there.
That's my MP. And either I didn't get the helmet because they cruelly put the helmet on a card and it didn't come with the window box set.
Oh my goodness.
Razor blade. Sometimes the marketing kind of cut deep on those things. Yeah, that was probably 1967, I'm thinking.
Oh.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Thank you, Rick, for joining us as a guest host.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Tearle, for joining us.
Yeah, let me know. Next week's good, whenever.
I will.
Yeah.
And remember, everybody, toys are fun. And Tearle has just proved it tonight.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Send you some photos, Terry.
Okay. Thank you, Tearle.